Get this 11 to 1 weekdays on the Triple M network.
I'm still coping with the bizarre side effects to the sleep drug Stilnox.
What's that?
It's a sleeping tablet.
Oh, yeah.
And there have been quite a few bizarre side effects from people. I have to say, I've used Stilnox, no side effects whatsoever.
Honestly?
Yeah, I'm still watching hours and hours of Steven Seagal movies on Foxtel, but nothing other than that. Listen to this. One user who had experienced mysterious weight gain was found by a relative taking food from a fridge and kitchen cupboards while asleep.
Yeah, I've seen this in a shockumentary.
Yeah. Does that need Stilnox to be kicked along, though? That's just normal sleepwalking, isn't it?
No. There's an extra, because there's this little valve in your brain that stops you doing things while you're asleep. And Stilnox must be tripping it.
Oh,
So
okay.
that you go and you think that you're awake, so you eat. I told you when I saw that documentary, that guy that gets up at night, uses the floor of his bedroom as a toilet, then just goes back to bed.
Oh.
It's a time saver. A woman woke up with a paintbrush in her hand, having painted her front door in her sleep. It's a good way to get things done. It's maximising your time. It's efficient. Thanks to Stilnox. Having trouble getting hubby to get out the front and do the patio? Give him some Stilnox.
Stilnox and a hammer.
2 Australians claim to have driven while asleep. Carl Stefanovic did 3 episodes of The Today Show while in a Stilnox trance. One user described walking around his house like a madman while asleep. The loony bin.
He's a sleepwalker alive in the loony bin.
And look who's joined us, the Bruce Gingell of this network. Peter Grace is here. Give him a round.
Hello, guys.
The first man to speak on commercial FM radio in Australia. What did you say again, Gracie?
This is the beginning of a long, long time, and of course I was the one chosen because I was the only one at the time that could actually form a sentence.
Yeah, that wasn't popular in those days.
Yeah.
It was at midnight.
Forming.
Yeah.
Another thing you do, Mr. Grace, is you make television programs.
Yeah, made a little series last year on public television in Melbourne, Channel 31. And I had a lot of leftover stuff too, so I went to YouTube.
Oh, YouTube. Now, is this sort of like a show? That was the name of your program?
Well, actually, sort of like a show. There are bits of sort of like a show on YouTube, have been for a few months, because Friends of the Ends got hold of the
Paul Hester was
Paul
involved.
Hester material.
Yes.
And they put that up. So if you call my name, it'll take you there and you'll get that. But I'm under a different channel name. So if you want to find my stuff, look up Philosophy and Irony. And
Right.
then click on more from this user. But there's like stand-up. There's about 4 or 5 music videos I've made.
Oh, wow.
One stupid idea that sounded like a really good idea at 1 o'clock last Monday morning.
Well, that's what YouTube's
That's
for.
what it's for.
Ideas that sounded great at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Have you trawled just the field of people out there?
Oh, yeah.
There's some people with some really serious problems.
and a camera, thankfully.
They finally found a home. What's your favourite discovery that you found on YouTube?
There's a really good one called Battle of the Bands, and you'll find where the ABC got the idea for their intro for their best albums thing last year. And it's all great album covers interacting with each other. And
Oh, fantastic.
great piece of work. And there's this real community. Of course, there's the Australian guy, Blunty 3000 in Tasmania. There's the Hill 88 in Queensland. She's been on 60 Minutes. And she actually posted her interview on 60 Minutes before 60 Minutes ran it.
Remember that farmer that was on when they had the sheepdog challenges?
Yeah, with Ray.
Yeah, people love hearing his laugh. We haven't played that this year.
Let's have a
Can we hear that clip?
What's it take to beat a Kiwi?
To beat a whole bloody lot. You've got to be pretty good. I believe the Kiwis are much, much better dog handlers than us Aussies.
Really? Don't tell them that, will you? Don't
No,
tell
I
'em.
won't, but I think we're got the better dogs.
And Ray was never seen again.
Can we have that laugh every time we mention a clip from YouTube? I want to hear. What have you found in Cavalier?
Impressions.
It's already becoming annoying.
It's a hair trigger, that sonic action. Pretty much it's mostly just people doing impersonations of their friend Mike.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
was trawling looking for Homer Simpson impressions because I've never heard a good one.
Yeah,
it's almost impossible.
Yeah, it is very hard to do.
People shy away from it. You never really see comedians doing it.
No.
You know, like, I found one guy. When Dan Castellala, if something happens to him,
Yes. Right.
have a listen to this. In his car.
March, kids, go pack your bags. We're gonna start a new life under the sea, under the sea, under the sea.
That's him. Not bad.
There'll be
That's
no
not bad.
accusations, just friendly crustaceans under the sea.
And I love how his mobile phone plays along.
Thank you, Farmer.
Thanks, Farmer.
And what I would say about that is that is more like the original Homer than the new Kermit
yeah.
was Like the original Kermit.
Yes.
You know when they replaced Kermit? It was Jim Henson's son or something. Just wasn't right.
Or when they replaced Pippa on Home and Away.
Oh,
No
right.
one bought that.
No.
Hi, Paul. How are you?
Good, thanks, mate. How about you guys?
Very good, sir. What are you saying?
I've seen this thing called AMV Hell, which is basically just a lot of Japanese animation inappropriately dubbed over.
Oh, what sort of inappropriate stuff are they using?
Oh, a bit of Family Guy, some rather badly timed Metallica.
Oh, so it's kind of a mashup. They're not creating their own.
No, it's pure plagiarism, but damn, it's funny.
Yeah.
That's good.
No worries with that here. Hello, Adam. How are you?
Good human slingshot.
Oh, shit.
Now, does that end well?
Fine. When I looked at it, they showed other ones that link off to it, and there was one called Fat Guy Slingshot, and that was hilarious.
And how far do they shoot the fat guy?
Mate, well, there's about 20 guys, and they're all pulling him back, and they let go, and he kind of goes along the ground. The first one I told you about, it's a girl and a little quad runner motorbike, and they tie it to these, like, football posts with, like, straps, and they just fang it 100 metres up, and the guy on the back of the bike just lets go, and she flies. She'd be doing 200k.
Really?
Yeah, have a look at it. It is hilarious.
A human slingshot speed record. That's great. Thank you, Adam. Any thoughts of doing it yourself?
No, it looks a bit scary. You know, one of those straps snaps, goodbye.
Yeah.
Gracie, can I ask, have you
Thanks, mate.
wasted an evening just having a look at people being propelled through the air?
There's a fantastic one at the moment of somebody's hung a fire hose from a crane and turned it on full blast,
Oh,
so
that
the
is
hose
good.
just flicks around. There's a guy just hanging onto it. for
Riding
dear
it.
life.
Yeah.
It's like
I
a
mean,
rodeo ride.
Why
And
are
then
they
you-
bothering to make proper TV shows anymore? That's
you
what I'm
get
asking.
Get a nice close-up of his injuries at the end of it.
It's the future of television. Who's got another example?
Hello, Jason. How are you?
On YouTube, there is this awesome series of movies called Will It Blend?
Yeah.
Will it blend, yeah.
Now,
They
this...
blend golf balls, then they blend a golf club.
Yeah.
They have the top up and blend it in. They blend an iPod.
iPod was
They do
great.
this really cool one. They get like an entire roast chicken, then they pour a can of Coke in with it, and they blend it into a smoothie.
Oh.
Drink it.
nice.
They blend like glass marbles, and this thing's just amazing. Like you look at this blender, and they can build stuff like that, and it's like, shit, it's actually really cool.
It's a weapon of mass destruction. This shake needs more iPod.
Well, again, they have the Mentos and Coca-Cola one too, where
Oh, yeah.
That's very
that
good.
is very
blowing
good.
things up.
Thank you, sir. Hello, Jason.
Not as good as those ones, but we, me and water skied up in Sydney, love watching the barefoot and water skiing crashes. You see plenty of them.
See, Jason, the thing I like about a barefoot water ski crash is it's always face first, you know?
Oh, yeah, and then many tumbles after and after and after.
Have you got any of when they're too close to the shoreline and they sort of flip out and they kind of roll onto the shore and take out a few beach chairs and that kind of thing?
Yeah, there's plenty of them. There's also the usual tube ones that you tow behind where they've gone through the reeds and up the beach.
Oh, that's a classic. Knocking over barbecues and stuff.
Yeah, and people and chairs.
Great.
And rescues and-
Spectacular crashes. Don't forget to look up human cannonball accidents.
Oh.
That's always good.
Hi, Hamish. What have you seen?
The Star Wars kid.
Oh, he is popular, that Star Wars kid.
Explain who the Star Wars kid is, people who haven't partaken.
Oh, is this a chubby American teenager? He's taken the video camera into a back room and he's swinging his staff around. And then some bright spark has added the Star Wars lightsabers onto the end of it.
And
Fantastic.
it's good, isn't it? And he sued them. His life is essentially over.
Oh.
He got teased till within an inch of his life and he sued the kids for, defamation.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Good stuff. Also worth a look is the silent movie version of Star Wars.
Oh.
Guy's done a real simple thing. He's just made it black and white, sped it up slightly, and added an iris effect around, and it just is hilarious.
With a
Let's
piano?
put it to all old piano
Yeah.
music. Silent Star Wars. Look that up.
All right, thank
Time
you.
for one more, is there?
Hi,
Go
John.
on.
How are you?
There's guys in America and they've got chainsaws and then modified them with V8 engines on them.
Oh, my goodness.
And what can you do with it once you've done that modification?
They just got massive trees and it's cut straight through in about a second.
Oh, sorted. That's what we
Something
need.
to aspire
So
to.
they've got chainsaw. It's a bit wussy. Not really good at it. Doesn't really do anything. Put a V8 engine on it and then go look for the tallest tree to cut down.
That's not a chainsaw.
Nobody.
Let's get to serious news. There's some Dick Cheney news. So. Sit down. Don't give him ammo.
I've got a pith helmet on, so best of luck with that, Chains.
Listen to this. US Vice President Dick Cheney has been diagnosed as a potentially deadly clot. With a potentially deadly clot. He will now take blood-thinning medication along with the truth-thinning medication he's been taking for some time. When asked what caused the clot, he said, probably Syria. I think we should bomb them. Don't worry about the evidence. I'll sort that out later. Cheney began experiencing severe leg pain during his recent visit to Sydney, possibly caused by the extended leg humping he received from our Prime Minister. Cheney has been told to take it easy and spent a relaxing weekend watching live torture on the in-house video and withdrawing funding from several veterans' hospitals. He'll be right as pain in no time. All the best to Dick Cheney.
Good to get an update.
What about Michael Jackson?
What about him?
Did you see this on the news the other night?
Some Michael Jackson fans are paying a high price for 30 seconds with the pop icon.
Their dignity! Or in some cases, their virginity! What are we talking about?
They're forking out $4,500 to spend half a minute with the star at an exclusive party in Tokyo.
Half a minute. You've got 30 seconds. It's $4,500. You get 30 seconds with Michael Jackson. I don't think it's enough for him to do anything.
No.
I don't think it's enough for him to break the law. What would you do in those 30 seconds? It says 26 now. Is your hair real? No, that's clearly not real. Is your nose stuck on with a magnet? Can I touch it? Is that a magnet?
It's a meet and greet. It's a Press the Plastic Flesh tour of Japan from Michael Jackson.
Nose held on with a magnet. That's what I heard.
What, really?
By somebody with a magnet standing behind him?
It's like a fridge magnet that he's just got stuck to his face.
That means he could do anything. He could have a little clay Eiffel Tower on there for a while.
You could,
know?
in 30
the
seconds.
Big banana. That'd be good.
Mr. Potato Head, you got 30 seconds. Rearrange the features.
Rearrange it. Dana Ross.
But isn't that odd? 30 seconds. Is it strictly enforced if you go to 32? Is that another $800?
No, there's a bloke with a stopwatch and a taser. And if you go a second over, you just feel the pain and you go down. Next guy comes in.
This leads us quite neatly into crime. And what is our favourite crime show here at Get This? It's
Police
on Foxtel.
10.
It's on the Crime Investigation Network. It's worth searching out. It's called Police 10-7. It's basically cops set in New Zealand.
Yeah.
How tough does it get on the streets of New Zealand, you're wondering? Listen to this shocked member of the public.
It's got a wee bit out of hand, you know. This is ridiculous. The streets of Dunedin just aren't safe anymore. If this is happening, come on, you know. What's the society coming to?
What's the society coming to? The streets of Dunedin just aren't safe anymore.
What happened to him?
Well, he was a victim of, you remember Henry the drunk?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was drunk.
Oh, he was pretty drunk. But check out this bloke.
A little while later, Mel and Alistair were back on patrol when they were unlucky enough to come across Richard, one of the drunkest people they'd ever seen still standing.
What's he been taking?
I just went on the beers.
Beers?
Yeah.
That looks a little bit more than beers, eh? What's your name, buddy?
My name is...
Could you spell that, please? Now, how do you describe this bloke? They say the drunkest bloke they've ever seen still standing.
No. One of the drunkest blokes they've ever seen. He was top 5. He's not number 1.
You're talking the streets of Dunedin.
Yeah. The streets are paved with staggerers, you know?
But it's the kind of staggering that it's so impressive. You could go into the Circus du Soleil. He just refuses to fall over.
Every step looks like he's over, and then bang, a big clodhopper comes out to save him. And he's a big guy.
Yeah, and they've got to put him in the car. And, of course, there is a big problem with transporting drunks.
Having offered to give Richard a lift, Mel's now hoping they can get him home before he loses his dinner.
Are you going to throw up in my car if we put you in?
No.
Promise?
Oh, right. What is your...
Excellent. So you need to keep your mouth shut? Okay, and if you're going to be sick, you let us know.
You need to keep your mouth shut.
No, Mum.
And how far do they get? They get all the way to his house, and then...
Just as they pull into the student flats where Richard lives, disaster strikes.
Hey, oh no, it's on your seat. Get out. Oh.
Out of the car.
Out.
Hurry up.
Get out. Don't touch the handles. Don't touch anything. Oh, gee. Watch my car, mate. And we've got one big mess to clean up in there.
Disaster
Watch my
strikes.
car, mate. I try and keep all the spew on the back seat, not on the outside where it's easily washed off. Dear, oh dear. They need, you know what they need in New Zealand? A drunk trolley. So they've got police cars and then a couple of shopping trolleys trailing behind to put the drunks in.
Like I say yesterday, it's great when a bloke's head is pixelated, but the vomit isn't. I think
it's a clear noise.
The saga continues.
Richard continued to stagger around, and in spite of the fact that Mel and Alistair were paying a heavy price for keeping him safe, Richard thought he was being harshly treated.
Well, I've been on the piss. Just got f***ed up as a mother. I mean, it's been drinking. I mean, they've been the old place. They've been giving me shit. I mean, I'm 21 years old even. If you know what I'm saying.
Nobody was very interested in what Richard had to say anymore.
Now,
so what's his point?
That he's 21.
Oh, right.
You know what I'm saying?
I do. I do now.
I'm 21, buddy. Later in the same episode, I don't know what you were doing in New Zealand, Richard. Our own Richard Marsland turned up.
No.
Turned up on Police 10-7.
You don't say.
Have a listen.
A little while later, Mel and Alistair were back on patrol when they were unlucky enough to come across Richard, one of the drunkest people they'd ever seen still standing.
Get this? Get f***ed more like it. They can f***ing panel their own bullshit show. Get the f***ing monkey to do it. Oh, I'm sorry, we're not supposed to mention the monkey anymore. At least he had a car space.
Having offered to give Richard a lift, Mel's now hoping they can get him home before he loses his dinner.
What f***ing dinner? You know, we don't get anything to eat thanks to f***ing Eddie Martin, the last king of Scotland. I'm better than this. I've worked with Anne f***ing Wills.
Just as they pull into the student flats where Richard lives, disaster strikes.
Who wants some free hinder tickets?
Oh, get out. That is disgusting.
Yeah, there you go, listeners. There's tomorrow's break one, you f***ing idiots.
Get out.
That's what they said when they axed my sex show. and my column in the Sunday Mail.
Richard thought he was being harshly treated.
I'm the one who won the trivia challenge, eh? And Alan Bro, everyone reckons he should have got the Waterboys question just because he's a big shot on Rock Quiz or whatever it f***ing is.
Oh, you dirty mongrel!
Nobody was very interested in what Richard had to say anymore.
Oh, all right, yeah, no, don't f***ing talk to me then. I'll just go and talk to this guy. He's a fan of mine. Isn't that right, buddy?
I think that there's more things to do to appeal to a broader audience.
Oh yeah, is that right? Oh, yeah, well, here's an exciting sound for you. Let's play that one out of the news.
Oh, give yourself a round of applause, are you, Richard?
Happy with yourself, are you? One too many jugs of illusions, eh? Topless wife photo ends man's pole protests.
Is this going on in Germany?
Well, every day. A German man who spent 10 days in a self-made box atop a 72-foot-tall pole to protest a looming jail term was lured off his perch by his wife, who sent up a topless picture of herself in his lunchbox.
Wow. So what's he doing? He's
convicted of fraud.
Yeah. And he's going, I'm not going to go to jail.
No.
Instead, I'll climb this 72-foot pole and squeeze into this tiny box.
Yeah, this converted television mast, and I'm going to live there until justice is done.
As opposed to being put into a small, probably larger than that cell, with food being served.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's making his point very well.
That'll show them. Cop that guy.
No, he said that he told them, journalists in a telephone interview last week, that he wanted a new trial and someone to empty his bucket.
And so his wife, what's she doing?
Here's the thing. His wife, Suzanne, 25, former stripper.
Ah, yes.
Oh,
hey?
there's trouble.
Why are you looking at Nicky?
I looked at everyone.
Our producer isn't a former stripper.
No, I raised my
We tried to get a former stripper for the gig. None were taking it.
I raised my eyebrows suggestedly at everyone. It just so happens that Nicky's first on my route.
Okay. So the former stripper, what? So these are photos of the former stripper?
Her.
A sort of a series of photos with less and less clothes?
No, just straight out.
Yeah.
Out.
I love the reason that the bloke was actually sent to jail. He was convicted of selling goods via the internet that were never delivered. One complainant said he had tried to buy a computer from this bloke and instead received a box filled with sand. Oh, is that the System 10 box of sand? Oh, they're not still making that one, are they?
You idiot.
Why would you buy one of them?
Oh, look at me. I moved on to gravel.
This box of sand isn't compatible with my printer. This is great. What a scam. Okay, we'll advertise computers and we'll just send them boxes of sand.
That's so good. Look at the 72-foot television aerial.
Yeah.
It's been described by a Gold Coast real estate developer as the perfect low-cost penthouse for space-conscious fugitives.
Of course it has. Please, a fake round of applause for Geraldine Hickey. Welcome aboard, Geraldine.
Not too impressed with your fake round, Geraldine?
No, I love it. I just like to add to my applause. I often like at gigs and stuff when at the end I'll stand at the back of the room and when they thank all the acts that have been on, I'll stand at the back and go, yeah, she's hot, woo!
Just bolstering the numbers.
Give yourself some
Absolutely,
sizzle. Good
yeah.
idea.
Now, Ed Cavalier was raving to me about your show at last year's Melbourne International Comedy Festival. What was
so
going
he
on?
should.
Yeah.
What about your good self being institutionalised?
Yeah,
Oh, right.
good times all round.
Yeah.
But a very funny take on it. Like, it wasn't sit down kind of, let's all get into our feelings kind of the show.
Oh,
It
no,
was
absolutely
hilarious.
not. Yeah, it wasn't a poor me thing. It was. I tried to write it as an uplifting type thing.
It was.
So
Did you volunteer yourself? Or you got sent along?
I did get sent along. It was because it was when I was at university. This is about 10 years ago, and institutionalised means as in I was sent to a mental hospital.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, Richard, let's not have the loony bin sound effects for this hour. Maybe just keep him up the back.
But I'm perfectly all right now. I was away from home. I was in university up in Queensland in Toowoomba, which is enough to send anyone to a loony bin anyway. Yeah, I might have made a little bit of attempt on my life. And the doctor said, oh, well, how would you feel about some time out in hospital? And I thought, that's great. I thought, I envisioned myself just hanging out in a normal hospital ward watching TV for a couple of days. and then I get there and I've gone, oh, this is not how I pictured it.
It's shock corridor.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly like it is on the movies, like with the the bars on the windows, the nasty nurses, and just an old lady sitting in the corner going, "Yep, going home today." Yep, it's exactly
good
what
food.
it's like. It's free food, so of course it's good. Yeah, in favour of any food. Yeah.
Lovely.
We've got a fair bit of mental homework in our family, I'd
Oh,
say.
of course.
And do you find that your relatives treat you differently afterwards?
Oh, absolutely. They call me now.
That's great. So it's a positive thing.
Nice, bringing people together.
There you
Yeah,
go.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Geraldine's a bit upset. We'll give her a call. Oh, finally, you're talking to me.
We have a lot of co-hosts and institutions on this program. Greg Fleet's uncontactable for the next 4 weeks. But that's just a regular.
Shout out to Fleety.
That's like a trip to the Whitsundays for Greg. Well, welcome to the former Looney Bin here on Triple M. And tell us about your show, Trucker's Daughter. What's that about? Being a trucker's daughter, I would fathom.
Yeah, exactly. No, my dad's a truck driver, and I come from a family of 6. There's mum and dad plus 6 children. So, like, the basic premise of the show was last year for Christmas, like, we do the Kris Kringle thing.
Oh, we do that so much easier.
Isn't it?
And so much easier.
Guaranteed to get a half-decent present, right?
Are you, though? Because do you guys have a price limit?
Yeah, we do.
What's yours?
Ours is $100.
Ours is 20.
Really?
You got to get a better agent.
What are you doing a Kris Kringle thing for?
Get your agent involved, Ed. You got to crunch them.
If we bought a present for everyone, it'd be $20.
Yeah. You're right. So hang on. So what?
You're going to it the wrong way.
That's what Mum's done. She's gone, all right, we'll do Kris Kringle, but it has to be. Now that I think about it, wait a second, because it's Kris Kringle, $20 each, but she got a trip to America.
What?
Whoa! What, a raft? Thor Heyerdahl tours. So hang on, what do you give for $20? What's an average
I
present
just
for $20?
say no. Since it started, I said I don't want anything.
No, so $20 is too much for you.
I sniff at $20.
Whereas for $100, what might you give for $100? Something good.
What are you
Something
looking
good. I always get $100.
Oh, that's
cold hard cash.
Yeah.
It's like a radio giveaway, your
Just
family.
lazy. Yeah, exactly.
There was a time when that was worth $100.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man alive, you press kid. You've managed to squeeze a quote out of Daniel Kitson. He says bugger all to anybody about anything.
Yeah,
I know, I was quite amazed.
Yeah.
Because he came and saw my show last year, and I didn't know he was in the audience because my mum came the same night that he did.
Oh, right.
So
She was heckling like crazy.
No, she was quite quiet. But she was sitting up the back and he was sitting behind my mum. So I knew where my mum was sitting, so I avoided looking at that area the whole time I was on. And it was until right at the end where I sort of looked up and this guy was laughing lots and lots up the back, and I'm like, who is this loony? And then and when he left, I was like, oh, that looks a bit like Daniel Kitson. And then, afterwards I found out that it was him. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And then he plugged my show at Hi-Fi Bar the next night. And I remember, I was there at Hi-Fi, he was emceeing. And I was standing at the back having a drink just going, how cool would it be if he just went, don't normally do this, but I saw a really great show last night. And I had a drink and I went, he never does that. He never promotes anyone else's show at all. What am I? I'm going upstairs to hang out and have a drink. And then 10 minutes later, someone comes up and go, "Oh my God, you missed it, didn't you?" And I'm like, "Missed what?" He goes, "Daniel Kitson just plugged your show." And I went, I can't believe I just missed it.
There it is.
And
here it is in print.
You say he doesn't plug many shows. He hates to plug his own shows. And have you seen the poster for his show this year?
It's just a tiny little silhouette.
He's just on the horizon. You can barely... But it looks great. I love it when you get the Comedy Festival brochure and people interstate. You can check this on the website. It's how many comedians are going to be holding a globe of the world in one hand and just looking confused. I can't work it all out, but in the next 55 minutes, it's all going to be sorted.
It'll be good.
And or interacting with an object or leaping in the air. Daniel Kitson's gone, bugger it. You stay here, cameraman. I'll just walk down the other end of the beach. I'll be a dot. And it really stands out.
Absolutely. It's great. I'd love to be that big, not to have my face on my festival poster.
Send a stand-in.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, you say your mum came along and saw the show. Now, obviously, your dad is going to be the subject of this show.
That's why I've made him the subject, so he'll actually come to my show.
Oh, you didn't go last year?
No.
Right.
Last time he saw me was when I did Raw in 2001. And he came and saw me there. Oh, no, he heard me on Triple J, I think. And then he, Mum said to me, "Your father heard you on the radio today." I'm like, okay. And he goes, he doesn't know why you have to swear all the time.
Yeah.
Why do you have to swear? So he hasn't really seen me since that, that one time where I swore a lot.
There's three things. It's why do you have to swear all the time? When are you getting a proper job? And
Exactly.
as in our family, well, when are we getting the royalty checks? We seem to be providing most of your acts. Every time you say that Good Scissors thing, I should be getting a check for that. I only owe my family millions, apparently.
It's your sister Dave Hughes, because that sounds very much like that.
No, he's not. Sorry.
And
actually, maybe my sister is Dave Hughes. Dave Hughes has hemochromatosis. It's possible.
Did you used to work at a bowling alley?
Do you know what? I still do.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Now, is it one of the snazzy, jazzed-up, nighttime glowing shoes bowling alleys, or your traditional?
No, it's the jazzy one.
Really? It's neon. Is there neon ultraviolet gear?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, we turn the UV lights on in the middle of the day and go, woo, with disco lights and everything.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
And does that drive the junkies away and stop people from being able to
Do you know
copy
what?
signatures off credit cards?
It brings them in. There's nothing better than throwing a 12-pound bowling ball down an alley when you're off chops.
Is that the poster? Is that what it says?
Yeah, that's exactly what it says.
Is there a giant fake skittle on the roof outside?
That's always good.
A good
Oh, no,
bowling
because
alley.
I work in, it's Kingpin Bowling.
Mhm.
They'll love me for saying that.
Yeah.
And I'll
Yeah.
be getting a raise.
Hey.
Yeah, especially after that junkie bit.
No, they'll get it. They'll have a laugh. It used to be open 24 hours a day. So
Until?
at 4 o'clock in the morning, whew, good times.
Yeah.
So
Good
who's coming in?
times.
4 a.m. Who's decided they want to bowl?
Junkies.
Oh, really?
And people that get lost, that have lost all their money on the pokies and are sad little men. They're walking around trying to find their cars and going, "Oh my God, there's a bowling alley. Let's go bowling."
Kingpin, you say, named after the fine Farrelly Brothers film.
Great film.
Sadly not available in correct aspect ratio in this country.
Yeah.
Stop calling in, all right?
I ordered mine from Amazon because I wanted 1 to 185. It's the only way to watch it. Bill Murray in that film,
Yeah.
very funny.
He is.
And you listen to the commentary, made up all his own lines. That's why he's so much funnier than the rest of the film. Yeah.
I think our Kingpin was around longer than that.
Yeah,
right.
okay.
Started it.
Yeah, I prefer Dumb and Dumber up the road.
Yeah.
I tell you what they don't have at comedy festivals in Australia, something they have in Edinburgh, an award for the worst show of the festival.
What's it called in Edinburgh?
I think it's just called Worst of the Fest, and every day they'll have a new nominee.
That's terrible.
And the
Imagine you got nominated. You'd be so sad.
and you're out of about 1,500 shows too.
That is really singling you out.
But mind you, they are really bad shows.
Are you sure?
I was there in 91, and the winner of Worst of the Fest was a medical review from a university called "Whoops, Nurse, I've been sick on your tits." That was the name of it. That was and then the
It wasn't
second
called
word.
Don't Stand to Colostomy?
No, but the one that came second was another medical review called "It's a Mad, 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 Mad Ward."
Oh.
Ouch!
Excuse me, nurse.
Michael Ward could get away with that for a name of a show, but that's unacceptable.
we're talking definitive influences, things that influenced you that you loved when you were a kid that's still playing a part in your life. The reason we're doing it, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Museum, Arlan USA, and Billboard have come up with a definitive 200 albums.
Oh, right. Albums that were sort of...
amazing for their time, influential.
Uh-huh.
For number one, what do you think, Tone?
Knee Deep in the Hoopla, Starship. Cause Life Hurts, Uncanny X-Men.
Great.
Tribiology, the follow-up to Bad Habits by Billy Field. Is it that one?
No. The Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's, 67.
Yes.
Big Willie's Style came in at 154. Just pipping Led Zeppelin's Led Zeppelin, 165. And David Bowie, Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust at 171.
Oh, okay. All right.
You know, the Veronica's not in the list. I'll be making some calls about that.
Yeah.
I always get worried about music lists.
I know you do. You look worried.
But there's
you look
one
concerned, very concerned.
like Q Magazine has one every single week.
Yeah. Well, that's not what we're doing.
Good point.
So that's what we're talking about. Things that have been big for you. They're a favourite of yours and they shaped your life.
So it could be movies, it could be
anything.
albums, it could be people.
It could be Wet and Wild, the water park.
Could
That's
be
who I am as a person is due to the water slides at Wet and Wild. Taught me how to live, taught me how to love.
I'm trying to think. Okay. What about in radio, influences in radio? I tell you who was a big influence on me back in the 70s when I was a kid. Kenny Everett. Would you know who that was?
Kenny Everett. That's a name I know.
He was one of the first people on the radio who proved that you didn't have to have a proper radio voice
Oh,
to go on.
How did he sound like us?
He just sounded like a normal person.
Ah.
Slightly loony, Ben.
Oh, really?
He was on in England. We used to get slabs of him in New Zealand. And he would do wacky stuff with the speakers.
Like what?
Because it was in stereo. So he'd do things like he'd go to the news. And if there was really bad news on the news, he'd go, okay, we don't want this. Just pan over to the left speaker. And he'd just have the news in the right speaker. And then he'd have relaxing, soothing music in the left speaker. And you could choose which one you want to listen to.
That's great.
All kinds of fancy-ass radio ideas.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were big when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And so we all, me and three of my friends, decided to be the Ninja Turtles. I, of course, chose Donatello because he was the smartest. And we didn't have any bad guys. There were no kind of, warthogs that had been mutated in my area.
Right,
so
right.
our greatest achievement as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was that we built a bridge made out of trolleys across the creek.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Forces of evil kept at bay for one more day.
By trolleys.
What about you, Rich?
Comic books, but not your cool, X-Men comic books.
Not the Marvels.
Spider-Man. No, I went more your Archie, Little Audrey.
Oh, the Harvey comics.
Little Audrey.
Little Dot.
Heckle and Jekyll were in
Little
there.
Lotta.
Yeah, all
Hot
those.
stuff. Spooky. Ghost with a bowler hat.
Yeah.
What's keeping it up there? What's keeping it up there? He's made of air. How's that hat up there?
Did you ever write in? Dear sir, what is keeping the hat on?
This is totally unbelievable.
It got ridiculous, though. I started writing fan mail. I mean, I really love Full Rock Flats as well. And I wrote a letter and drew a drawing of the dog to Murray Ball. He wrote back.
Did he?
Yep, still got that.
A form letter, a cease and desist form letter.
It's one of them.
Copying my gear.
I wrote letters to Cassini and Uderzo. One of them was dead.
Yes. The asterisk.
One of them was dead.
Yeah,
I had no
good.
idea. Also, Elizabeth Montgomery.
Dear alive one.
Elizabeth Montgomery, you wrote a letter to her from Bewitched.
Yeah, she never wrote back.
Nothing. Never heard back. Just wrinkled her nose in disgust. Made that noise, but in the wrong way.
Had a crush on her.
This is what we're talking about. I know it's a limb, but I reckon people are going to call. What was your formative influence, my friend?
J.R.R. Tolkien.
Yeah.
I'm quite addicted to the point where it's scary.
Do you read the songs as well, or do you skip the songs? You read the songs.
I do.
Do you know all the maps off by heart?
Actually, do you know what's really scary? I do. And I also have, the films. I've got the extended editions, but I also have to have the cinema release editions as well.
Yeah, I can understand that. No, sympathise.
How do you feel about aspect ratio, Bri?
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
The right shape. You don't want it chopped off at the sides when it's shown on TV.
Nah.
No, of course not. Are you showing up on opening day of those films in costume?
Who do you go dressed as?
Legolas the last time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I have the elf ears and the jewellery and all that kind of stuff.
Were you in one of the cinemas where every time they went to the sweeping helicopter shots of New Zealand, I was there going, ya da 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 da. That was my favourite thing to do on opening day of Lord of the Rings. Angry look from an orc.
Thank you, Bri. Hello, Dion. How are you?
I grew up in the outback, and when my brother and I first got to visit our cousins, we got to see TV, and one of the first shows we saw was Hogan's Heroes.
How did this influence or affect you?
Oh, well, when we got back to the station back home, we found an old rainwater tank and we buried it in the ground. where our parents and the stockies didn't know.
Right.
And then we built tunnels going out to another old shed. And
tunnels, a network of tunnels.
yeah, we had the old limestone. We used to drill it out with shotgun shells and a bit of fire.
Fantastic, but it's not going to be authentic unless you've got a papier-mâché tree stump to hinge up from at the end of it.
Oh, no, we had one of the old Thunderbox covers with a metal lid and everything that we used to climb in and out of.
This is a Hogan's Heroes theme park.
Yes, it was great until our father found it and filled it full of
gas,
intestines and stuff.
Okay, animal intestines.
Animal intestines.
Was that a popular technique of his, just flinging animal intestines around?
No, it was to let us know never to do anything so dangerous again and steal his rainwater tanks.
Nah, the shotguns were fine.
Yeah.
That's cool. Blasting
he
limestone.
never found out about those. We never told him.
Fair enough. Well, Dion.
Good when people copy TV shows. Do you suppose when Dukes of Hazzard came out, he was welding the doors of the car shut? I know I was.
Cutting the jeans off nice and high.
Who's next?
It's good that we didn't get any calls with people influenced by Bob Crane's later work. I think.
That's
maybe.
true.
See autofocus for details.
Best ignored.
Hi, Paul. How are you?
Not bad, guys. How about yourself?
Yeah, really good. You're obsessed with?
Transformers.
Now, what are you thinking for the new film? Are you excited?
Oh, if they don't get Stan Bush in there, I'm going to be a bit distraught.
Yeah.
It looks very like they've tried to go realistic.
Yeah, it could be good, but I couldn't decide whether I was favourite for the Autobots and Decepticons, so I got both logos tattooed on my arms.
Oh, have you really?
You've gone that far.
So you are a transformer in effect.
Well, yeah, I can transform from slacker to bludger.
Oh, in the blink of an eye.
That's got to be it.
Yeah, well, it's fairly limited, and I've gone out and got all the toys and whatnot still.
Do you have the costume? Have you got a big costume that you wear around?
Oh, I could probably fashion one out of boxes and some acrylic paint.
Yeah, now that is the attitude we're looking for.
We'll be contacting you when our Birdman rally gets off the ground. And, of course, the new Transformers film. Are they going to have the song?
Yeah.
You got the touch.
The touch.
Yeah, let's hope so. Who's going next?
Hi, Jade. How are you?
It wasn't actually me. It was actually my younger brother.
Oh,
he
yes?
was obsessed with the Power Rangers.
Ah, yes.
How bad did it get?
Well, because of the Power Rangers, he's now a black belt 8 white dan, one of the highest I think you can get in Taekwondo.
Right.
Wow. And he's, to this date, he's 19 now, and he still has his bedspread, his lunchbox, all his little toys, everything.
And if anyone dares make fun of them, watch out!
Exactly.
And he's who you want around if a giant pudding comes to life, starts attacking. That's the guy you want to have in your corner.
That's right. Time for one more.
Hi,
Ed.
Josh. How are you?
Yeah, the old Warner Brothers cartoons, especially Yosemite Sam.
Oh, Yosemite Sam.
What did you like about Yosemite?
I just loved his sayings, like, I've got a 6-year-old daughter, and if I call her a long-eared galoot, she looks at me and laughs at me because she loves me, but she's got no idea why.
And do you actually go out, duck shooting yourself?
Yeah, we love the DVD at home, and she actually does like that one with duck season, wabbit season, and poor Daddy stopping the beak behind his head and on top of his head.
That's right. Until you've shot a duck's beak round the back of its own head, you're not really taking those cartoons seriously. That's what I say.
Exactly right.
Get this, it's Blown Out to 2 hours, 11 to 1 weekdays on the Triple M network.